All right, let's review. We've gone through all 4 services. And I told you how excited I was about the Stream Digital Voice. But it pales in comparison to how excited I am about protective services. Guys, I mean this with every bone in my body, that I truly, truly believe somebody could start a network marketing company today, and if their only service or product, if they had one thing, and it was virtual MD, they would kill it across the country. It is the way of the future. I was again testing the waters. I have one of my buddies. He hasn't decided to do the business yet, but he's been my customer for about 9 years. He's a paramedic, and so I thought, well, he's in that kind of healthcare emergency industry, and I just, something told me he was going to probably kind of poo-poo the thing because he can save your life, right? And his kids, he can take care of them. So I started telling him about this. It was the week after Ignition. I started telling him about this, and before I could even finish, he goes, "Man, telehealth's the way of the future." He goes, "Teladoc has got tons of customers already, and that's our biggest competitor." And I said, "So you know that?" He goes, "Oh yeah, dude, that's huge." And I go, "Well, it's coming out in May. We'll sit down and talk." I go, "It's probably time for you to do the business now," right? And I want you to take something out of that I'm going to talk about now, as far as gathering more customers. We've already shown you that there's no barrier to entry or boundaries any longer. If you're in Tennessee and you can't switch an energy account, guess what? You were probably excited about mobile. And Tommy Harper he and Lisa became an executive director out of Tennessee with just mobile. And now with Stream Digital Voice, more home services to come and protective services, I believe there will be people who will build wherever, maybe Florida, maybe Oregon, and they might have their entire business built on one of these 4 services. Now, I don't recommend that if you have a lot of success with just one thing, that's great, knock yourself out, but don't put that wisdom upon your new associate. Let them experience that for themselves. However, I'll give you a good example, and I was telling a group this in Phillipsburg the other night. I have a friend who she does very well in a nutritional supplement company, right? And they have 60 plus products. And she didn't want to have to be a quasi-doctor to learn all that. She really likes their protein shakes and their energy drink. And that's all she focuses on, and she's a top money earner. What I mean by that is, you may not have one thing or the other that you connect with. And there will be people who will be able to build an enormous business with our protective services. Let me go back one. And Martha may have already hit this, but guys, this value, if you added extras, is still huge. Here's me. I mean, I have these 3. This is what we had. But obviously, as soon as it's available, I'm doing virtual MD, roadside, and I won't do without that. But like Martha, I can barely spell computer. I'm not going to do without my tech support. So now I'm going to want 4 things, so I'm just going to do the $9.95 add-on, right? This is so huge, and I really believe virtual MD alone could be a standalone for somebody to build an entire company on, and we have it for $9.95, right? But I wouldn't position it that. What I like is when someone says, "Well, how much is that?" "Oh, it's $1 a day." But, oh, no, not just that. All 3 things. Take your pick. That's craziness. The roadside assistance, another example Julie was talking about, I think, was it AAA you had? Spending $40, $50 a month for her roadside. And roadside assistance is one of those things like most insurance type things. That you only wish you had it when you didn't have it, right? So, again, great benefits, all this. By the way, last week, corporate Ryan Kramer, the director of sales, and I just cut a new video. So there'll be a video explaining the protective services for your new associates to be able to see. And they're looking to do that with all the services. Greg Savage has some new mobile videos that are beginning coming out, so a lot more videos on this stuff. All right, let's talk about customer acquisition. And here's where I'm going to wag my finger at you. I really wanted to be a little more hard on you in February when I was here, and I pulled back a little bit. But I asked you a little while ago to raise your hand if you've already got your home services set up, and Julie was the only one that raised her hand. Now, if you weren't at Ignition, I get that. You're still trying to learn all this. But for those of you who are at Ignition, what are you waiting for? The other thing I'll tell you is, I won't make you raise your hand, but I'd be willing to bet that if there's 300 people in here, every bit of 150 or more of you are probably still on Verizon. Right? No? Because that's what I'm finding around here with a lot of people hadn't switched yet. And I don't get that. What are you scared of? If you're not already a Stream Mobile customer, how can you ask your friend to be? To me, this right here is where your business starts. You got to become your own best customer. I can't imagine why any one of our associates, that's not the first thing they do. Those people who have vitamin companies, they know what their protein shakes taste like, don't they? And you know, y'all probably heard Presley say, if you're going to sell a Chevy, you better drive a Chevy. I actually lived that. I took over a dealership group one time that had Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, and Toyota. And I was running the whole thing. Well, guess what? 2 months before I took the gig, I had just bought Beth a brand new red BMW convertible. Well, here I was in this small town in West Texas with my blonde wife rolling around town in this red convertible BMW. And I was representing Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, Toyota. So I had to have the talk. She got it. I didn't have to have somebody tell me. That was innate inside me. So I put her car in the used car lot and sold it. And she started driving what we represented. Guys, I shouldn't have to have this discussion with you. That should just come natural. That if you're going to represent something, you have it, right? So the first thing we can do, and this goes back to our pledge, is there's a lot of us who don't already have all these things. I mean, think about it. Stream Digital Voice is brand new. There's one point right there just out of your own house. The protective services, again, Martha, by the way, where'd Martha go? Give it up for Martha. What a great job. Great job. So, for those of you who don't have protective services yet, wait until we launch 2.0, right? Which will be when?
May.
First part of May. Not May 1st. Soon. And it's going to be a great experience. There's going to be that one portal versus 3. Everything's going to be great. I don't know what the migration will be, but they're going to teach those of us who already have our bundle how to then move to be able to pull in the new ones and do all that. But for those of you who don't already have it, there's another point, right? A couple extra mobile customers. Before you even leave your own house, you've already got those. The next thing that I will tell you that all of us have to do is this right here. I mean, if we're trying to grow our MEI and we have all of these great services, who do you go to first? Your current customer base. Point in case, my buddy who's the paramedic, while I'm talking to him at the school, it was the Friday after ignition, I'm telling him he's been my electric customer. He said, hey, I think I'm coming up on the end of my term. I said, are you familiar with smart thermostats? And he's a real techie guy. He's got all kinds of Apple products in his house. And I said, do you already have a smart thermostat? He goes, no. And I'll be darned if he didn't say, yeah, I've been looking at the Nest and the Lyric. I'd never heard of the Lyric before Stream came to him. And he says, and after my research, I like the Lyric better. I was like, ooh. I was like, oh my gosh. I said, oh, did you buy one yet? He goes, no. I go, well, hey man, for being my customer, we have a loyalty program. I'm going to be able to get you on a long-term plan to keep where the price is low right now and get you a free Lyric. He's like, what? I love that for renewing our customers, right? And then I said, hey, who's your mobile service with? Because we had talked about it before, and he goes, man, timing's right. The first time you told me it didn't make sense. He goes, Carrie needs a new phone. I'm paying too much with AT&T. I want to sit down with you and talk about that. Right? Then I said, hey, do you guys have a home phone at your house? He goes, yeah, why? I go, too much. We'll talk later. But I guarantee you, I'm going to get him for 30 months longer on the electricity. He's already been my customer for 9 years. He'll be our mobile customer. And if he's already got a landline, why is he not going to do Stream Digital Voice, right? And save money on what he's already paying? But just out of that household, that customer. So this is the first thing we need to do is after we purchase our own products from ourselves and be our best customer, go to the people who are already your natural gas or electricity customers. But here's where I would tell you to be careful is don't just think how excited you are about these new services. Show them the business again. Because aren't these customers who probably said, nah, when you showed them the business initially? Well, don't people's lives change? Timing may not have been right then, but it might be now. So worst thing that happens, I'm still not interested. Hey, no problem. I just want to thank you for being my customer. Can't wait to share with you what our company just launched. I just thought this place was great. They're unbelievable. And there's value. Right now, we don't want to look, the thing you have to care, we don't want to look like the trench coat guy, right? Like an extreme digital voice here, and here's one. So don't overwhelm them. Do a little discovery and asking questions, right? And that's part of what I wanted to teach you here, is how to have that discussion. The first thing is, don't call them up and start puking on the phone. We all know that already. But schedule a time to go visit. Have a cup of coffee with them. Bring them a gift. And remember, it's not how much it is, as a fact that it is, right? It could be a $5, $10 gift card to Starbucks, something, or buy their lunch that day that you meet and say, hey, I just want to thank you for being my customer and bring you up to speed on some things our company's doing. There may be some other things that I can help you save a little money on. Right? Is that hard? Shouldn't we be making those calls right now? Yes. Especially today that you feel more, does everybody feel more confident about the 4 services? I mean, great job, Greg Savage. The mobile's unbelievable. All right, finally, let's go ahead and get some new customers. Do you see how quickly you can get those 15 customers? When we're pledging 10, but when I sponsor my 2 people, I'm going to go get 15 with them, right? And as far as your customers, let's not forget that it's all about relationship. The neat thing is we are going to save money on money on Stream Digital Voice, right? They may not have identity protection and some of these other things, so we'll have to show them the value. But I will tell you that virtual MD, just the time factor versus having to go to a doctor. Some of you may have heard me tell this story. Sorry if it's redundant. But I was at a function the same time I saw my buddy Brian at my kid's school. There was a lady, her son, she has 4 kids. One of her sons is friends with my son. Well, Beth was volunteering, my kids running around, and I just saw her, Holly, and I started talking to her. Well, she's pushing her youngest in a stroller. And she tells me, she goes, I feel so bad. And I go, what? She goes, see that lady over there? And I go, yeah. She goes, that's my pediatrician. And I go, okay, why do you feel bad? She goes, well, when she's here with her kids at the school, and I asked her a medical question. And I go, oh, really? Yeah, that's kind of awkward. She goes, yeah, but she was really nice. She goes, look at my son. And she shows me, and she grabs her little toddler's arm. There's a big rash on his arm. She goes, I asked her what it was, and I didn't want to have to, she says to me, I didn't want to have to go to the doctor over that. She goes, I just don't have time. I got 4 kids. I'm working, my husband. I don't have time to go to the doctor for something like that. You know, like, really? Your child. But isn't that our society right now? And I'm just sitting there, she's telling me this. So I say, you're not going to believe this. She says what I said last week at our convention. Our company just came out with a brand new service that goes live in May. It's called Virtual MD. And you don't have to be that lady that wears out the pediatrician at the school, right? I go, how about if you could just do like a FaceTime with your phone or tablet or computer and show a board-certified physician the rash and let them prescribe the same steroid that she's going to? She's like, what? She goes, well, is it expensive? Do I have to use my copay like with a doctor visit? I go, no. It's a flat rate every month, less than $1 a day. She's like, what? I go, yeah. Comes out in May. I'll sit down and talk to you about it. Do you see how these conversations will come to you if you open up your ears? It's the difference in having to be the salesperson versus letting life come to you and having the answer. Yes, Ed, there are no questions here, sir, but just for you. Just kidding.
You said, I had Lyme disease twice.
Talk loud so they can hear you.
Talk loud.
It's going to be a while.
I'm starting to get like more of these men talk real fast.
Yeah, loud and fast.
Okay. I had Lyme disease twice, right? And both times I had...
After the first one, I probably wouldn't have wanted it again.
Yeah.
Just kidding, sorry.
Never mind.
No, come on, Ed.
So, both times I went to the doctor and I literally showed him I had the bullseye. And he just looked at me and he goes, don't even have to do the test. Because you got Lyme disease. So I'm thinking about, like you said with that, even something as serious Because Lyme's disease, someone could show.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? And the doctor says, you know, I really think you should go and see someone in person. But the peace of mind, and I think of things like, you know, the executive directors, we're all going, and national directors and presidents, we're all going on our top performers trip, May 11th to Mexico. Well, the flight leaves early in the morning, right? Got to be at the airport 2 hours on international flights. Well, what if midnight you're feeling just like horrible? And you're thinking, you know, I don't want to go to a foreign country and be sick. I wish I could get a Z-Pack or whatever, right? Yeah. What, are you going to go to a doc in a box at midnight when you're trying to get to sleep? Boom, pop right on there. They can prescribe something for you. You go to your local Rite Aid or whatever you have, CVS. Walgreens, CVS, right? Boom. Think about that, guys. A 23-year-old newborn, Martha and I were talking about it. We just can't imagine how these kids and this crazy, everyone's working and young babies. You know, if a new mom at 2 o'clock in the morning, her baby wakes up and doesn't seem right, and she doesn't want to call her mom or her mother-in-law at 2 in the morning and sound like a hypochondriac, doesn't want to rush them to the doc in the box or emergency room, what does she do? Oh, now she can have a face-to-face discussion with somebody? When we talk about our protective services, this slide that's in our business presentation talks about peace of mind, right? So remember this too, that we should always find the solution. We talk about that on how these products fit into somebody's life. Don't try to sell something they don't need to somebody. And you know, not all things are for all people. And this is a real scenario that I don't think is manipulative, that most all of us in some form or fashion are trying to get customer points for the next promotion or bonus or whatever, to say, hey, I'm really close to my next promotion with my company. I only need a couple more customers. I just want to share some things with you and see if any of these work for you. And if it doesn't make sense to you, doesn't save you any money, I'm good with that, right? It's just a great way to open the door. And I think that people's biggest fear in anything is the unknown and that whole process that it takes. So be sure you share that with them. That, oh, better than the fact that it's free is it's hassle-free, right? As far as switching of energy and mobile. So I think that the porting guides are helpful. When somebody can fill in the blank and see it. By the way, I didn't get to mention this, but we talked about this at a meeting I was at earlier this week. How many of you love that whole thing on, we all freaked out at Ignition that individual plans and not shared? How Greg showed that to you?
Yeah.
It's just terminology, right? So it's all about, the person is going to say, oh, I need unlimited data, right? They all say that because of the TV commercials. And if they have a plan with 20 gigs of data and they use 11 gigs, hello? So not just see what they use as a whole, but individually, the way he broke that down, guys, that is huge, all right? Okay, so we're going to be our own best customer, yes or yes?
Yes.
Let's all get on all of our services as quickly as possible. Okay, I think you'll be amazed at being able, so confident to be able to talk to somebody when you're actually utilizing these things. All right.